All right, folks, let's go inside what we call our living area or our enclosed area or our climate controlled area that we've been working on doing the inside framing. Okay, in our video entitled Carolina Carports, something or another, in our video about Carolina Carports, we talked about a 12 by 24 enclosure inside of our enclosed building, and that's what I'm in now. And it's a little bit echoey, but I'm going to try to explain how we framed it or why we framed it the way we did. So, standard 2x4. We got 2 1/4 inch metal framing all the way around this building. It's on the floor plate, and it's on the verticals, and it's around the windows. So if we took this 2x4 and framed inside of the metal here, then we would lose 3.5 inches around all the way around. So we'd lose 7 inches total of width. If we put the 2x4 here, then we would lose 1 inch of width, and then we would have to do all of the framing with wood. So what we elected to do was rip the 2x4 to 2 1/4 so that the 2x4 wood, the wood 2x4 is even with the metal. So when we put up a piece of OSB on this wall, we can attach it, if we want, we can attach it to the metal, or we can attach it to the wood stud, metal stud, wood stud, but all of the wood studs are on 2-foot centers. So as a minimum, we'll be able to do our sheathing, whether it's OSB, plywood. We think we're going with OSB, we're not really sure yet. The price of OSB was really high when we framed this out well over a year ago, but the price has come down. We've also thought about maybe putting some flooring on the wall for an accent wall, maybe some tongue and groove. We're not really sure yet, but we needed it framed. So now that it's framed, we can come in here and we can do our spray foam and then put whatever sheathing we want on it. We've already got all the electrical run, and Deb will point to this corner here. We framed out the corners, and we had to do a little bit of creative framing around the electrical because this, whatever this conduit is called, I forget, it won't make a 90-degree bend. So they had to do a gentle bend to run the electric in this enclosure. So we framed it out so that whatever we use to sheathe it can go over top of this and not pinch that wire. And if you come from the side here, Deb, we can show, they use a special type of electrical box, and I guess you can put different reliefs or extensions on these boxes, and we put it so that we could have sheathing here, and then if there is still a gap between the sheathing and the back side of the electrical box, then we can build like a little box around there, a little piece of molding trim. But we went with the extra long boxes here so that we would have more options going forward. Around the windows, we probably overframed because I think we can attach our OSB right here directly to the metal, but we went ahead and box framed everything, and that allows us to attach our OSB to wood rather than into the metal, and then we could put wood trim over that and still have the trim be in the metal. Still have the trim be fastened to the wood. These angle brackets present a problem, and one thing we're thinking about doing is making them shorter and mounting them above the 8-foot wall. The top of that cap there is 8 foot total. Either do that or try and sheathe around them. We haven't decided exactly what we're going to do yet there. I would like them to be out of the way, but at the same time, I don't want to weaken my structure. The structure is rated for, I think, 170 miles per hour because it's in Florida, and if the engineers if the engineers decided this was necessary, Deb is very hesitant to remove this because she feels it'll weaken the building, and she's probably right, but it will be a pain to frame around. Some of the electrical outlets were exactly where our 2-foot center was, so we had to put like 3 studs so that we'd have nailers for our sheathing. So there was just different challenges like that framing this out. In the corners, this stud right here is being held at the top by the plate, and at the bottom, it's being held by an L bracket. And in some places, we put an L bracket on both sides if the board was twisting. The yellow pine seemed to twist more than the white wood. but these boards or these studs are actually screwed directly into the metal. We drilled into the metal and then used like 2.5, 3-inch screws and just drilled directly into the metal, just so we'd have nailers for our sheathing. And I think that pretty much covers it. It was, we ripped down a lot of boards. Like I said, we used yellow pine because it was cheaper. It was during the pandemic and wood was very expensive. 2x4s were $7. We were able to get yellow pine a little bit cheaper, but we found some of the yellow pines were warped. So we actually had to come back in here and replace the yellow pines with white wood. But I think that covers what we did in here, Deb. Did I miss anything?
Oh, wait, you missed something.
What'd I miss?
You missed the fact of when we did this.
Hold on, you want to be filmed?
No, I don't want to either.
Okay, Deb, what did we miss?
We missed that. We did the front fence on Christmas Eve, and we did this on my birthday. Just felt like that was a little piece of trivia that you needed. Happy birthday to me. It was freezing too. The 18th.
For some reason, I forgot that we did that. If you go back and watch our fence video, Deb seemed to remember that we did that on Christmas Eve. Don't feel too sorry for Deb. You can have a little bit of sympathy, but don't feel too sorry for her, because I think we'd rather work in Florida in the fall than work in the summer when it's 100+ degrees. But then again, there's videos out there where we worked in 115-degree heat index, and I'm sure you'll hear Deb talk to you about that in those videos.
We're real fancy here. We took measurements inside. We write them on a chunk of scrap wood. And we just cross it off and throw them away. We're high tech here. Measured and we cut and we ripped to start framing out this wall so we can hang MDF, put shelves up or whatever. Next step, start framing. So we've measured 2-foot centers. We've cut and ripped the boards. And now we're going to bracket our pieces on the floor to make it easier. That way we can just set it up and screw it into the metal once it's already assembled.
And hold it up too high.
We're doing it differently than we did our living area, so it requires some more ciphering. And there's Bella.
Hey, Bella. You're not helpful. No,
she's really not helpful. She thinks she is.
Okay. All right, we gotta figure this out. I don't know if I want to pick all that close to my face.
My efforts to get Bella to go home were not successful.
Come on, baby.
Our efforts to get Bella to back off were really unsuccessful. But we did figure out the whole strategy for putting this framing together.
Bella, come on. Bella, come on. Bella.
Easy trick. Just hold the wood up. We can make something complicated. And double brackets on the bottom because Bradford's pretty convinced they will twist. So we're now second guessing why we didn't rip them to begin with.
Go.
And if anybody has any
Bella,
suggestions
go,
on how to get a dog to go home, that'd be swell. Because she's not taking any clues or hints. Bella. It's your ferocious pit bull. What? Oh, she's flipping.
What do you want, baby?
That right there, that's exactly what she wants. Bella 12, Bradford 0.
worth doing once, it's worth doing 3 times. So we're gonna see if this works. I think it's all set, ready to go in, but it was not fun. Something as simple as turning a 2x4 the opposite way probably cost us 15 minutes, but that is how it's supposed to be. That'll be fine. Yep. But getting those brackets on with that 2x4 reversed, that was not fun, because we're not used to doing it that way. All right, let's get this thing buttoned up, and this one will be in and done.
It's going to be spray foamed. We're doing it for the integrity to hang MDF off it.
OSB.
Oh, OSB. Why do I do MDF every time? I don't even know.
Okay, we got 2 of the bays done, and like everything, it never goes as you planned, but I think it came out okay. So at the bottom, we have these L brackets. And we install into the metal with 2 metal screws, and into the wood with 2 short screws, wood screws. I got those screws directly from Carolina Carport. I asked them for some extra screws and some extra metal so I could build a welding table out of. So when they came back from Georgia, they brought me that stuff. These things are great. You just put a 3/8 bit in your driver, and you can drive them right through that framing steel. Makes things go a lot quicker than pre-drilling them. But took a lot longer than I thought. We still have a ways to go.
So you took the measurements of the whole wall, and now you're going to cut all the pieces at once versus piecemealing, huh?
So now we'll have a bunch of pieces that are wrong instead of just one.
What's going on with this one?
It's hitting the electrical right there. I'm gonna have to see if I can tin snip it out. All right.
Well, there's a will, there's a way. So what's your challenge with this one?
What? The screw heads? The screw heads for these brackets. You know. How many? 2 hours? 2 hours
Probably.
to do one window? And we got 2 more left?
Yep, so much for finishing today.
I'm tapping out. It's Red Bull time. Okay, real quick before we get started on finishing these last 2 windows on the east wall, just wanted to go over how this east wall is framed differently than the inside enclosure. So if you look here, I've got a gap here between the metal and the stud, and that's because I put the stud on edge. We didn't rip these down. East wall, sun rises in the east first. This wall heats up pretty quickly, as well as that south wall. So we wanted to make sure we got plenty of foam, spray foam in between the metal and the stud. So it saves us a step in ripping the stud and also allows that foam to get in behind there. So that's a moisture barrier, but primarily the reason that we're spray foaming this shed is as a radiant barrier to keep that heat out. All right, so I've cut out the 2x4 or the ripped down 2x4. So it'll fit over the bolts on these brackets, but there's still one more bolt head right here that I have to account for. So I'll put it in here, smack it with the hammer, and that's gonna show me where that bolt hole, that bolt head is. So I hit the board with the hammer to put that little mark right there to show me where the bolt head is. I just take this ream out a little space for the bolt head and it should fit flush. Good enough for a metal building framing.
That's good.
This ain't a piano. So as my dad used to say, this ain't a duck blind. And what he meant by that was his duck blinds were nicer than your pianos, I guess.
Gotta sit on that window.
Yep. I don't know if it was any quicker than the other one.
I don't know either. But that's two windows done.
It became difficult.
Done.
There's that.
Done. That leaves only one window left in this
This
wall.
one actually looks easier.
I love the optimism. Well, we will see.
Gets Red Bull and snacks. Take time, isn't it?
Yep. The last window. The very last window.
It is the very last window. It's ridiculous the amount of work this has been.
Are you so happy? Last window?
I am happy. All right, I think that's a wrap. Deb, what do you got to say about framing this east wall?
I'm glad it's done. That's
Yeah.
what I have to say.